Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. Coming up, we have the final installment of our 7 Resorts in 7-Day series. Today we're going to be talking about Disney's Old Key West Resort. Coming up next, from the Bob Barley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Diz Unplugged. This is the Diz Unplugged, episode 784 for February 22nd, 2015. The Diz Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Let the experts at Dreams Unlimited help you to understand all your options when booking one of Disney's all-inclusive vacation packages. Just visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I can tell you, on behalf of the entire team, we are really happy this is the last one. We have recorded these. We did 4 of them on Monday. We did 3 of them today. It's Wednesday. These are exhausting days. Almost as exhausting as doing 7 resorts in 7 days. But happy to end the series with one of my personal favorite resorts, and I think at least one member of the team has been converted to the fan club. Old Key West, the original Disney Vacation Club. As a matter of fact, when it first opened on December 20th of 1991, that's what it was called, the Disney Vacation Club Resort. It wasn't changed to Old Key West until January of 1996. It was, as I said, the very first of the DVC properties, and by far the largest. 761 rooms make up this resort. You have deluxe studios, which are about 376 square feet, which is a nice size. A 1-bedroom villa is 942 square feet. A 2-bedroom villa, 1,333 square feet, big. And of course, the 3-bedroom grand villas are 2,202 square feet. And I've stayed in all of them.
Oh wow, bigger than my house.
They're big. These were the originals, and as I've been saying all week, the later these resorts were built, the smaller the rooms got. So this was built in 91. So this is still in the early days of Disney's building craze. And when Eisner said, "Okay, we got to start building some resorts," and so these are fairly nice sized rooms and well appointed rooms. But before we get too much into that, we have an overview of Old Key West that we'd like to show you. So we're going to play that for you now. right. And while we were playing that, I was informed that I forgot to introduce everybody at the table. That'll give you an idea of just how anxious I am for this to be done. Joining me at the table are associate producer Craig Williams, Jenny Lynn Knopp, Kathy Whirling, Corey Martin, our producer Dustin West back on the controls, and joining us via Skype from Indianapolis, Indiana, Mr. William Thomas Perry. All right, so one of my favorite things that happened during the week that we were doing this was about 10 or 15 minutes after Kathy Whirling walked into the two-bedroom villa that we had. She said what?
Oh, I loved it. I think this could be my new favorite.
I think this could be my new favorite. Now, understand that the Caribbean beach has been Kathy's favorite resort. And when I tell you the Caribbean beach has had no greater champion than Kathy Whirling these years, for her to say that, honestly, I'm not being facetious here. For Kathy Whirling to say that, that's big. That's a big statement for her. And I was glad to hear. I love Old Key West. When John and I first bought Disney Vacation Club way back when, we bought at Old Key West. John fell in love with it. It was very funny. I'll tell a quick story. For those of you who don't know, John and I at one point were a couple. We're not now, but we were then. And we had been together a couple of years at that point. I got John into Disney. He had gone to Disney with some friends before he met me and didn't have the greatest experience. But I was like, I go to Disney once or twice a year. Got him into it. He loved it. And I think our second visit, maybe it was, we decided to take the tour and do the DVC tour at Old Key West. And we pull up in Old Key West, and he looks at me because I was, then as now, the one who will spend the money. And John was always the responsible, level-headed one. I'm like, oh, let's buy everything. And we pull in, and he looks at me very sternly, and he says, we're not buying anything. I said, okay, I get it. It's fine. I just want to look. I want to look. And we had a great, this is how good this woman was. This is 1997, 98, 97. Yes, it was, well, it was 96. It was 96. Her name was Larissa Brock, was our rep who gave us the tour. And she took us into the studio and the one bedroom, the two bedroom, and the grand villa. And then we go and you sit down and kind of talks about the specifics about what it's going to cost. And again, John and I both worked, regular jobs at that point. And, I think, I forgot what it was, $12,000, $13,000, something like that for 300 points. And it was more than that. Maybe it was like 18,000. Whatever it was a lot of money. And I'm like, okay, there's no way. We're doing this. And she lets us go take a walk around on our own. The minute we walk out of her office, he looks at me and goes, I want this.
Aww.
I want this. And I'm like, really? Are you kidding? And he's like, no, I'm serious. I want this. So what impressed me about DVC was they didn't want a decision then. They didn't want a decision that day. She said, we want you to take this information, your experience, go home, think about it.
Oh, wow.
Now, you've got to be really confident in your product if you're going to do that. Mm-hmm. And that right there was, okay, this has got to be good. Because usually you hear these stories about timeshare and it's buy now, buy now, buy now, buy now. They're not going to let you out of the place until you've agreed to buy something. You hear these nightmare stories. Nothing like that with Disney Vacation. I don't know how it is now. But, back in the 90s, that's how it was. And we ended up buying at Old Key West. And the first time we wanted to use it, there was no availability at Old Key West, so we stayed at Boardwalk. We had a one-bedroom at the Boardwalk, which was very nice. But the second time we used it, we were living down here. And, we went once for his birthday. And then we came down again right after the year we moved down here, which was 98. that November, had a whole family reunion. So we got a 3-bedroom, we got the Grand Villa, and a couple of studios, and probably one of the best experiences I've ever had at Disney World. It was so much fun. I had my whole family together. It's the last time my father was on property. He died a few years later. So I have those memories, and I actually came across some old pictures from then, which if I can, I'll find them and scan them and put them up, because I like to embarrass myself. But so Old Key West holds a very, very special place in my heart. Of course, my father used to call it Old Fort Lee. Only if you're from New Jersey, you laugh at that. You laugh at that.
I think in general, the people that stay at Old Key West are very passionate about it. There is something about Old Key West that stands apart from the other DVC villas. I've stayed in almost all of the DVC villas at this point, and I will say that Old Key West, when they use the term home away from home, Old Key West actually feels like that.
Yeah.
You do actually feel like you're staying either in your more like your second home, whereas some of the other villas, you kind of feel like you're, in a condo somewhere and you're just, setting up camp for the week, which is what you're actually doing. But you don't get that sense, you don't get that feeling when you're at Old Key West.
And I'll tell you, we had a 2-bedroom villa that was, did we lose Will?
He's coming back.
I think he's messing around with his resolutions and all that.
I'm still here.
Stuff.
Okay. All right. We had a 2-bedroom. And it's been a while since I've been in one. They're massive, and they're so comfortable. Mm-hmm. And you talk about, for me, I look at what is it like, what is the room like to come back to after a day in the parks? I really don't think you can get more comfortable than this.
We had, all 7 of us were in there, and you guys had gone and bought some coffee, and Dustin made a pot of coffee, and we had some chips. It was like being at home, and like we were all hanging out, and we were out on the patio.
You almost like want to pull out some board games and start, playing, Yahtzee with everyone or something.
The room is massive. I think for me, that's like one of the first things I noticed when I walked in, how massive it was. Even the balcony was massive. And it was just, it's definitely a room or a villa that you would want, not only for a family of 4, but like, almost like you said, like almost like a family reunion, and everybody's sharing this, and everybody can stretch out. My only thing with the rooms, though, look, I've been to Key West. I love Key West. I've stayed in 3 different conch houses in Key West. I get the style. I get the whole Key West thing. I think it just needs some updating.
It does. There's no question that they really do need, these villas need to be updated. I factor that into my impression. My feelings on the resort are skewed somewhat because of the intensity of the personal experiences I've had with it. I think more so than any other Disney resort, Old Key West holds a very, very special place in my heart. I love Old Key West, and every time I might get emotional. Every time I go there, I think the first time my parents came to Disney World, we stayed there. We stayed there in a 2-bedroom. And that was when I realized that my mother was going to bury us all because, we would be out in the theme parks and the 4 of us would come back. It was me and John, my mom and my dad. And my father, John, and I all went and took naps. And Mom was up cleaning,
Aww.
Getting things together, making little snacks. And then she's reading her book, and I'm like,
I can so picture.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right. So it has particularly special meaning to me, and I will say up front that my impressions on this resort, my ratings of this resort, are in fact skewed by that. So I will put that out there in full disclosure.
You did say something that interesting just a second ago that struck a chord with me when you're talking about your mom, being up around cleaning and all that. When I stayed at Old Key West Resort, I was there with extended family as well. It was my sister, her kids, her partner, my mom, and then my family, which was a family of 5. So there was quite a few of us. And it, like I said, it's just that homey feeling that can accommodate everyone. But what I like about Old Key West is if everyone doesn't want to go to the parks, because there were days where not all of us went to the parks. Some of us stayed behind. It's someplace where you're comfortable just hanging out. So some people can go to the parks, and the ones that don't want to are completely happy where they're at.
Yeah, exactly.
We're thinking about, Katie and I've already looked. We always wanted to do Thanksgiving, like at a resort somewhere, and never could find a good place to do it.
It's a good place to do it.
This is the perfect place to do that.
And I will tell you that if you're just renting, getting it as a hotel room and not going through DVC, I'm looking at, like the 1-bedroom units, which are basically the same unit we were in, just without that second bedroom. About $380 a night.
That's big. That's still big. I mean, it's still a big room.
Yeah, we're still talking about 942 square feet, which is a big room for less than the cost of most deluxes. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, its location is part of what drives that. It's not walking distance to any theme parks. And while the room definitely was dated and could use a refresh, it was incredibly comfortable. Mm-hmm. It's an incredibly comfortable room. And, we had, all of us. So it was Will and Corey and Kathy and Jenny Lynn and Craig, Dustin and myself, 7 people hanging out in that living room. Mm-hmm. And nobody was on top of anybody.
No, it did not feel cramped at all.
Even when we were all out on the lanai, mm-hmm. it was a big lanai. Mm-hmm. Even when we were out there, it didn't feel cramped. I mean, we were moving chairs from inside out to the lanai to hang out.
Yeah.
But we were all very comfortable. So that, that's got to be taken into account. And especially also, you have the option of renting points from David's DVC rental, which I've mentioned before. It's dvcbyrequest.com mm-hmm. Or go to disboards.com, the DVC Rent Trade Board. You can rent them there as well. And it's even more reasonable in a lot of times than renting them as a hotel room or getting them as a hotel room. But all of these, with all DVC resorts, the 1-bedroom, the 2-bedroom, the Grand Villa all have that jacuzzi tub in there. They have washer and dryer. And except these,
that's the other thing that's different.
These are big washer and dryers.
Well, yes, and they're in their own room.
Yeah, you have a laundry room.
You have a laundry room as opposed to a laundry closet. All of the other DVC villas have laundry closets. This one is a separate room.
Exactly. And these are also full-size washer and dryer as opposed to the
stackable.
The stackable. And a full kitchen, of course. And, one of those memories I have, one of those really fun memories, like I said, we had gone down there for John's birthday one year, and I wanted to do something special. And I called DVC, and I said, I want to, John loves to cook, more so in those days, I think, than now, because I didn't cook at all. So if we were going to eat, he cooked. And they arranged to have a chef come in and do a cooking demonstration, cook a dinner for us,
wow.
and show John how he was making all these different dishes. And that was my birthday present to him.
Oh,
and
that
it was
neat.
Really very reasonable. Again, we're going back to, this is 1997, I think it was.
Yeah. Wow.
So I have all these great memories of this resort. I cannot recommend these rooms highly enough, especially if you're dealing with a large party. There are options. Like I said, you can either do them as a straight up hotel room or rent the points for your stay and probably save even more money. But like I said, one of the downsides of this resort, excuse me, drinking my Pepsi or my vanilla Coke, is its location. Mm-hmm. That it's not really close. The closest thing to it is downtown Disney, and there is a pretty regular boat shuttle that goes from Old Key West over to downtown Disney and back. Goes to the west side, and it's a nice ride though.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, really nice ride.
But other than that, you're bussing it, and then there's multiple stops throughout the resort when you're on that bus.
Mm-hmm. This is a sprawling,
very spread out resort.
I think that was a big downside for me is the proximity to things. I mean, I don't mind bussing it or even taking a boat somewhere, but I also like having the option of things right there, and there's not a lot to choose from or to do at Old Key West.
They have the pools. I think they have 4 different pools, and they're all spread out through the different locations of the resort. But they're, more tame pools. They do have the main pool that has a sand castle.
Which is a great pool.
It is a great pool, and there's a cute little playground area right next to it. But again, if you're at one of the other locations closer to a quiet pool, it's going to be quite a hike for you.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's no question.
And the other thing is that probably should be noted, because this caught me off guard when we stayed at Old Key West. Most of the buildings do not have elevators.
Right.
So if you get a room that's on the 2nd floor, you are going to be carrying your stuff up some flights of stairs. And that caught me off guard. When we stayed there, we had driven, I think, 12 hours through the night. It was completely exhausted when I got there. And I almost literally burst into tears when I realized that I still had to walk all of my luggage up some stairs because I didn't have there were no elevators in my building. There are only 3 buildings with elevators on that property, and they're buildings 61 through 63. So if you need an elevator, hopefully you can get one of those buildings. You need to try to request it.
But it does have bell service, doesn't it? They do have bellmen.
I never experienced that, but I did it as a DVC member.
So,
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
I can't imagine that resort doesn't have bell service.
Then maybe you can get somebody else to take your luggage. I carried my own luggage, and I was very distraught about it.
Well, you want to be an independent woman.
The reason for this is because it's not built like any of the other resorts on property. It's not built with long, narrow hallways where all the doors are with each other. They're all kind of built as individual townhomes almost within the same building, but there's no central, hallway that connects them all. They all have stairwells that lead up to the front doors and
all
stuff.
External entry.
Yeah.
And remember, at Walt Disney World, Old Key West is the only one of the DVC properties that was built specifically as a DVC property. The rest of them were all added on to existing hotels. So when you have Beach Club, Boardwalk, Wilderness Lodge, Animal Kingdom, Bay Lake Tower, Grand Floridian, they're all basically part of the hotel.
Not Saratoga Springs.
Or Saratoga Springs was built as a hotel. It was repurposed after the fact as a DVC property. Old Key West was built from the ground up specifically for the Disney Vacation Club. They had to figure out what to do after Disney Institute failed so miserably.
Right. I do know it used to be the Disney Institute.
And before that, it was Disney Village, wasn't it?
Disney Village, yeah.
So that's gone. Saratoga Springs has gone through some...
Which I stayed at
transitions.
Some transitions. So these were repurposed after the fact as Disney Vacation Club properties, as a Disney Vacation Club property. Old Key West built from the ground up just for that purpose. So let's talk about what were your impressions staying at Old Key West? This was your first time there.
Yeah, this was my first time to Old Key West and staying there. I didn't, coming away from it, I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. I'm kind of like Corey on some things where I like a destination within itself. That's why I was so high on the boardwalk. So this kind of being secluded, I didn't think I would like it as much. But for someone who's going to vacation and going on vacation and wanting to relax, this is definitely a good resort to do that. So I was thinking that if I took my father, and I went to the parks or went, out and did some things, he would love to just hang back and grab one of those hammocks and kick back and enjoy it. And this is definitely the resort, I think, to do that, to really relax on vacation. Old Key West would be a good spot to do that. Me and Craig played shuffleboard. We had fun. They have a nice pool. So I enjoyed the resort more than I thought I would going into it.
And Dustin, for you, this was also your first time at Old Key West. So what were your thoughts?
Yeah, this was one of the... Oh, I'm sorry. I pushed the wrong button. This is one of the few things at Disney World I still haven't done. I mean, I know there's plenty left, but I had purposely avoided Old Key West until humanly possible, and this was the moment for that.
Well, avoiding it wasn't because you were, appalled by it, right?
No, absolutely not. The reason, and I know people don't like it when I talk about this, so I'm going to not talk about it too much, is that, I just wanted to keep something that a surprise. Why
don't people like it?
I have no clue.
Why? When you said that, you've gotten blowback?
Yeah, people don't agree with me. So a lot of people think that that's a silly idea.
Well, then they shouldn't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
They think it's a silly idea.
But anyway, my impression of it is it reminds me a lot of, in terms of layout, it reminds me a lot of the moderate resorts in that they have, the lobby building and all the restaurants and all that stuff is in that one front location. And then it just goes everywhere. It expands to all the buildings and all the little pools and stuff like that. It reminds me of that, but which I like about the moderate resorts, but when you put that together with the villas that you're getting, it takes it up, obviously, another step. So this is really one of my favorites now. I really like it. I'd like to spend more time there exploring the grounds. I feel like I didn't get nearly the chance that I needed to explore like all the outlying buildings and stuff. But that front area with the marina and the main building and stuff, I really enjoyed the vibe of this, and it's really cool. I liked it.
All right, let's talk about the dining options.
Not many.
At Old Key West. There really aren't many. It's basically Olivia's, and then you have the Gurgling Suitcase where you can get some takeaway food. But Olivia's is pretty much it. And I'll say this about Olivia's. It has its good nights and it has its bad nights. We had, it was a little challenging for us the night that we all ate there. Service was a little slow. It was
packed out as well.
It was. We were seated almost 45 minutes after our reservation time, which was I was starting to get annoyed. And the first time, it was funny. The first time I went in, to check, it had been about 20 minutes past our time, and I wasn't upset at all. I knew they were busy. And I went in and I just, very nicely said to the hostess, I said, it was an older lady, and she was very nice. I said, I was just wondering, where we are on the list in terms of getting our table. And she said, I'm sorry, we have some tables staying longer than we anticipated. And she's like, if you're unhappy, I can get a manager. I'm like, no, it's okay. I don't need you to get a manager. Then I went back in again and just kind of looked at her with a smile on my face, and she said, we haven't forgot about you. The next one to get seated. And then when it hit 45 minutes, now I was upset. I walked up to her. I was very nice, and I said, now you can get a manager. Now I'd like to talk to a manager. Where's my table? But that is the first time that's ever happened there. It was also over marathon weekend, so you had that crowd, and Old Key West was very, very busy. Mm-hmm. They were sold out that weekend. And, the food at Olivia's is, on average, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing extraordinary really happens there.
But it's not bad food.
It's not bad food at all. It's just okay. It's not like, oh, you know what? Oh, let's go to Olivia's tonight. It's there. It's close. And that's, pretty much the best I can say about it.
I was surprised because, hearing people talk about Olivia's, I, in my mind, had this sort of like, this quiet place, and there weren't too many people in it. And we got there, and it was like everybody at Old Key West had decided they needed to dine at Olivia's that night. Totally different than how I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Well, everyone at Old Key West did decide to eat at Olivia's that night because it's really the only sit-down restaurant on the property, which I feel is a little bit of a mistake on their part. But I feel like there should be more dining options. However, there's not, and it is what it is. It's loud. It's loud in there.
It can be, when it's busy.
Everything just echoes.
It was busier. I was thinking about this afterwards. I know it's the only place, but since downtown Disney's so torn up that people weren't going to downtown Disney, that maybe they decided to stay at the resort.
It could be. Honestly, getting to downtown Disney from, especially West Side, it's so easy from there. You don't have to deal with any of the traffic issues or that. It's a 15-minute
boat ride.
But you still have, like the construction going on. Like, people have heard so much about avoid downtown Disney. Do you think a lot of people then decided to...
Maybe, but in that night, it's marathon runners. They're tired. They're running all this distance. They don't want to have to go back out after they get home.
And it's funny because you know who the marathon runners are because they're all walking like someone just beat them.
And they have 7 medals around their neck.
And they got the medals and they clink, yeah. So really and truly dining options, that's it. You have Olivia's for sit down. You have the Gurgling Suitcase, which is sandwiches.
Is your bar. Yeah.
Your bar.
A very small bar.
Yeah, tiny.
Football game.
6 people.
Football game on it. Yeah, like 6 people can sit at that bar.
They do have tables and chairs set up along the water, along the marina, that you can sit at. So let's move over to the common areas then. What are your thoughts on the pool at Old Key West?
I thought it was very nice.
But it is nice. It's nothing exceptional.
No.
I mean, it's your standard pool, not really very many features that stand out. It has a really attractive slide that looks like a sandcastle, but, that's kind of it. I mean, it's cute. It's fun. Kids are going to enjoy it, but it's not anything that really stands out.
One interesting aspect of the pool is that in the base of the lighthouse, that's the icon of Old Key West, is the lighthouse. In the base of that lighthouse is a sauna.
Yes.
Which is just so bizarre.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Usually, the only places I've seen saunas, generally speaking, anything Disney, has been inside spas. In the men's changing room, you'll have a sauna in there at a spa. I've not seen it just kind of, here's a sauna.
Yeah. What's even more amusing is if you're going to be vacationing there in the middle of the summer.
Who uses that?
Are you going to go into the sauna that's already outside?
Now, if there's a place where they should be throwing a Frozen theme on something in the summer, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it there. Let's turn Olaf's Frozen room and instead of a sauna, because the entire state of Florida is a sauna from May to September. So. I think the pool is nice. I know they did add the slide and some other features to the pool. They have a kids area, a kids pool, and a kids play area. The community center is down along the promenade there in front of the marina, and that's where you can get there are games and it's normally where you get your DVD rentals. Most of the units have a DVD player in them, so you can get your DVDs there. What else goes on at the community center?
I mean, that's
sadness.
You pretty much.
Like an Xbox game, and an Xbox and a PlayStation in there. There was a pool table in there. That's where we got our shuffleboard
stuff.
Right.
I think the coolest aspect, and sorry to interrupt you, is that you can kind of see it in the picture if you're watching the video version of the show, but all around the community hall especially, and I know other areas in the place, if you have a framed picture of yourself, you can give it to them that they'll add to this whole section. So you walk around and you can see all above the trim there. That's all pictures from families'
Those
vacations.
Those are actually DVC families.
Yeah.
DVC families, and they also do that at Olivia's.
Yeah,
and when you first walk into Olivia's, there's a wall there.
And that's why, I'm sorry to go back to Olivia's, I was going to say this earlier, that's why it gives me the feeling of like a restaurant that has at one point been on the Travel Channel, and now everyone's taking their picture, and it's really busy in there, except it's not.
Except the night we were there. Now, also, adjacent to Olivia's is the resort's gift shop and little grocery area. This should not come as a surprise to anybody when you buy groceries at a Disney resort. You are paying 4 times what you would pay for these things if you were at a supermarket. But, your cereals, milks, bread, frozen foods, frozen pizzas, things like that.
It's all there more so than at the other resorts. I think because this is a DVC resort, they're expecting people to come and set up, quote unquote, home. They're going to want groceries for those kitchens. They seem to really accommodate you as far as giving you whatever you might want to need and take back to your room. Like Olivia's, for example, you can get your meals to go. You don't have to stay in the restaurant. You can order something, go and pick it up, and then you walk it back to your room.
Exactly.
Man, we should have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. The other thing that was interesting was that I decided to stay at Old Key West at the last minute. I wasn't planning to stay there, but I had, no change of clothes. So I was like, okay, let me see what I can get in the gift shop. And if I can't get everything there, I'm not staying because, I'm not going to wear the same pair of underwear 2 days in a row. I'm not wearing the same socks 2 days in a row. I'm not wearing the same clothes 2 days in a row. I was able to get underwear, socks, shorts, shirt, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrush, everything I needed. Everything I needed. Some hairspray. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. It cost $7,000.
Those Buzz Lightyear underwear, I mean, they're expensive.
But I was able to get everything, in a pinch, which, kind of nice to know that you can go in and get. They had everything there that you would need. That's why, a few weeks ago on the show, I was wearing the DVC polo I got there. And, it was like a whole thing in the chatterati during the show that, is he a DVC member now? And like, no, just picked it up at Old Key West because I decided to stay there at the last minute.
That's funny because at Fort Wilderness, we kind of did the same thing when we wanted to grill out. We went to the store to try to buy everything we needed to grill because we had nothing.
Right.
So we got it all.
And again, I'm still paying that off from 2 years ago. But, so the... there used to be the marina at Old Key West used to allow you to rent pontoon boats and take them out yourself. They've stopped doing that. They've stopped doing that at a lot of resorts. Unfortunately, I think that's a sad thing.
I think it's really only the Magic Kingdom resorts, right? I don't even think you can do it at the boardwalk.
No, they have them at the boardwalk for rent.
At the yacht club is where the marina that you can take out.
And the yacht club, I think those are still there. But I was sad that they took it away from Old Key West because that would have been fun. I think too many people were trying to drive them themselves over to downtown Disney.
It's a very narrow waterway back there, so you don't really you don't have a big open lake to go onto. It's a very narrow river that these transit boats are coming back and forth on, and you've got to follow those rules, and it gets a little dangerous.
Well, I think it probably had more to do with the fact that people probably weren't using them.
Yeah.
That is probably the main reason because I don't think they had it. We haven't heard too much about, watercraft accident. I mean, that they may have just kept it quiet, but it's usually hard for Disney to do that. But it is a very quiet, very relaxed resort, but it is a sprawling resort, and a car is really a good idea if you're staying at Old Key West. I couldn't imagine. Every time I've stayed there, I've had a car. Even when I was living in Jersey and vacationing, we always got a car because, I'm not big for the buses anyway. But just the sprawling nature of the resort itself, getting from point A to point B, can be. What do you think about Old Key West? We've been talking about how appropriate these resorts are for families, especially families with smaller kids. How do you think this resort rates?
It really depends on the style, like specifically with this resort, because it is so quiet. I think it really depends on the style of family you are. I am not a person that goes to vacation and likes to relax. I go stir crazy. One day I will learn to relax and be able to sit in one spot long enough. But I kind of go stir crazy. I need things to do. If the villa was a destination, I think this would be perfect. But I think my kids are kind of the same way. Can we go do this? Can we go do this? The pool's fine, but beyond that, not sure what else we can do with them there besides walk around the property.
I think that Corey really nailed it. It depends on your family. Now, there are some families that this resort would be perfect for. There are some families that want to be together all the time. They don't want to take their kids to a kids club. They want to, really nurture that family feeling 24 hours a day. This is a great resort for that. Like I said, you walk into the rooms and you just want to sit down and play board games with everyone or watch a movie. We all saw that. Like you were saying, we go in the room and you just kind of want to hang out with each other while you're there.
Yeah.
So for families that want to really use that home feeling on a vacation, this is perfect for that. But if you're a family, my family is a little bit more like yours, Corey. Like, we're here, we want to go, and we want to do things. It's a little bit out of the way, a little bit more inconvenient, not quite as much to do. Still wonderful. Like, I love it when you walk into the lobby and you're checking in, and one of the first things they do is they hand out to every child some kind of squiggly toy balloon thing.
Those are great.
Whether they get a sword or a hat or something. So, I mean, it's very kid-friendly, but it's going to just depend on your family style of functioning.
Right.
Now, see, my family would like that because we like to go to the beach or whatever. So there's plenty of beach and water that we could make that a destination all by itself. So it just depends.
Dustin, do you have something?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
You were just making faces.
No, I was making faces. I was actually...
Is there something you'd like to share with the rest of the class?
ghost in the video.
The thing I wanted... I was going to say squiggly balloon thingies are called balloon animals.
Okay. I was drawing a blank.
Will, what are your impressions overall of Old Key West? Just
I liked it. Again, it kind of goes back to what you're looking for. Are you looking to relax on vacation and be a little more secluded? Or are you looking to go, and more of a destination within itself? So I didn't dislike Old Key West at all. I just think it's, what flavor are you looking for? There was a lot of nice little spots.
Wasn't that how you got your fiance? Wasn't that the pickup line? What kind of flavor are you looking for, baby?
That's close.
That was Will's famous pickup line.
No, there was a nice fire pit tucked off. There was some hammocks. They had a tennis court. A 15-minute boat ride to downtown Disney. It's not a bad place at all. Just what you're looking for.
What kind of grade would you give it?
I'm giving it a 7. It's hard to get a 10 out of me, but I think Old Key West is a strong 7 for those who are looking to relax, no doubt.
All right. Dustin.
I'll give it a 7 as well. I don't think it's as up there with the 8s and 9s I've given, but that's only because of personal style choices and stuff like that. I think it has everything that a family that would enjoy this type of resort would need. And so this is just a personal, for me, it's 7.
Jenny Lynn.
I have conflicted emotions about this, but I think I'm going with 7 as well. There's something I love the feel of it being home. It definitely captures that perfectly, but at the same time, it is a little bit tucked away. I think that not having enough dining options is a downfall. There's not that much shopping. And then transportation. You've got the boat, but that only goes to downtown Disney. It doesn't go to any of the parks. So for the most part, you're in a really sprawled out resort, and you got to get on that bus. But at the same time, it's just such a fantastic feel to be there. So I'm putting it right at 7.
Okay. Craig?
Oh, well, I am going to be the most unpopular, like always.
9.5.
9.5, yes. And if by 9.5 you mean about a 4 is what I would...
Oh, you're fired.
Wow.
I even said it from the start of whenever we were there. It reminded me of my first apartment out in Claremont, Davenport. I hate those pastel colors, that light pink, the light... I know it's Key West style. It's just... I have some terrible memories of looking out in the ghetto that is Davenport.
Wow.
And just nothing appealed to me about this resort. I didn't like how Corey and I had to walk in the middle of the golf course, cutting through trees, hoping we didn't get hit by a golf ball just to get to other locations in the area. And for me, coming to Disney World, I'm not coming there to feel like home. If I want to be at home, I'll go home. If I'm coming to Disney World, I want to
miserable.
I want to be everywhere. I get people love this place. It is not for me. If you're like me, miserable, crotchety, all those other synonyms.
You don't like Grandma's pink carpet?
I hate
carpet.
The coral shower.
Did they match the drapes?
I hate Grandma's pink carpet and drapes.
What happened?
This spiraled downward very quickly.
It's just everything.
This is what happens. This is what happens when I make them record all these shows. We did 4 shows on Monday. We recorded 2 shows yesterday. We're recording 4 shows today because we did the trip today. And this is what happens to my producer when I do this to him. He starts talking about Grandma's carpet.
I was referring to the shower tile.
The coral shower.
The hideous color schemes that are in there, and even stuff like the gurgling suitcase. It was on the same level as the arcade at Grand Floridian, in that it was just a closet that they decided, hey, if we throw a couple taps and some chairs in, then people will be able to come and sit down at it. And forget about getting a decent beer there. You had to go all the way over to downtown Disney. it is perfect for people who are looking for that escape. But for I want to be at the parks, I want to experience what Disney is, not I want to experience what Old Key West in Florida is, this is not the place for them.
After this airs, there is going to be a hashtag trending called Craig Sucks. Boy, you just, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I respect your opinion. You're wrong, but I respect your opinion. Kathy,
I waited.
Actually, no, Corey.
Like I said, I love Key West. We've been there several times. I think as far as the grounds go here, they nailed it. I think having a spacious villa is wonderful. That's kind of where it ends for me, though. I think the decor in the villa is outdated. I know it's all DVC, so there are some other things I needed to do to get those updated. But some things I do love about Key West is that there's so much to do, and that's lacking here. And all the reasons why I gave Boardwalk high points is the reason I need to give this one low points, because there's not enough to do. So it's a 7 for me. Kathy?
I'd probably give it an 8. I'd probably, if I wasn't in this room, I would rank it a little bit higher. Downside to Old Key West is the whole check-in area. If you have a car and you have to park, trying to find a place to park to get into the building to check in.
Yeah.
Didn't like that. But for all the reasons that Craig didn't like it, that's why I liked it, because the first time I ever came to Florida and came to Disney World and stayed at Caribbean Beach, the theming or the outside landscaping reminds me a lot of Caribbean Beach, of this is Florida. This is just beautiful Florida with the trees and whatever.
Kathy likes Grandma's carpet.
And you know what? And as far as like that room, I sort of looked at it as sort of like it was retro. And sometimes you need to go back and revisit your past. And that didn't bother me.
You can revisit it on the Golden Girls whenever you see their house.
All right. Shut his mic off. Well, thank you for that, Kathy. I almost want to recuse myself at this point because, as I mentioned at the beginning, of all the Disney resorts, Old Key West, for me, holds the most emotional place in my heart, especially in that, these are the only time I've ever had an experience with my entire family at Disney World was at Old Key West. I have great memories of my parents. The first time I saw my parents holding hands, honestly, walking into Epcot, holding hands with each other, was on the trip that we stayed at Old Key West. The experiences that we had there, the memories that were made there, for me, prevent me from looking at this resort and being able to criticize it. Everything that these guys have said is legitimate. But for me, because of those memories, because of that, and this is where I become a fanboy, and because of those experiences, Old Key West for me is a perfect 10. Not because I think it doesn't need to be updated, or I think that Olivia's needs to be changed, or the gurgling suitcase couldn't be improved, or the parking at check-in. All of those things are true. But I carry with me these incredible, incredible memories. And so staying there that day, being there that day, every place I turned, I had a memory. I had a great memory. And at the end of the day, isn't that what this is all about?
Oh, yeah.
We drive ourselves crazy in the planning process because we want to make these great memories. We're doing it from a good place. But we can sit here and pick apart the carpet, the bedding, the food, and all of this other stuff. But at the end of the day, what really matters is what memories do we make. And during this particular week, I got to make new memories with people I care about very much, people I work with, people I love, people that are, in all respects, my family. So this has been a great experience. This was a great week. It was a busy week. It was a lot of work. But I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it in large measure because of the people that I get to do it with, which is the very reason that you are listening and watching right now, because you are trying to plan or thinking about planning a vacation just like that for yourself. So I hope that in this 7 and 7 series, we've given you some perspective. Again, I say this with everything. Anytime we do any kind of overview or review like this, this is a snapshot of a moment in time. You should not make a decision to buy or not buy, stay or not stay, based on anything that we say. This is just information for you to have as you make your plans knowing your family and your needs and your wants when you vacation. So you just factor that all in and make that decision yourself. So thank you very much for those of you who stayed with us for this entire series. We appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you again next time with another edition of the Dis Unplugged. Thanks, everybody. And remember, stay out of the damn lakes. Bye.